This is the story of a Pennsylvania family whose lives took a tragic turn on a fateful night in June. What began with a chilling 911 call unraveled an unthinkable act that shook their community to its core. As investigators pieced together the events, questions of motive emerged, leaving a haunting tale of family ties and untold secrets. But what happened, you may ask? Stay tuned to find out. Welcome to our channel. This is Criminal Activities. Christopher Lee Moyer, known as Chris, was born May 21, 1967. He was 44 years old at the time of the crime and resided in Warrington, Bucks County, Pennsylvania, United States, with his wife and son. He was a freelance computer expert who worked from home alongside his wife, who also worked on computers inside the home. Her name was IrinaElizabethGellerMoyer. She went by Elizabeth, as shown on her Facebook page. She was born on August 12, 1971, and she was 39 years old at the time of the crime. She was a native of Kiev, Ukraine. Chris and Elizabeth had met and married in April of 2002. Chris was Elizabeth's second marriage, and Elizabeth was his second marriage as well. In 2003, the Moyers acquired their residence on Redstone Drive in Warrington, Pennsylvania, as indicated by official records. According to neighbors, the couple maintained a notably private demeanor, perhaps overly so. They were early residents in the neighborhood, which was newly constructed at the time. Neighbors noted that Elizabeth rarely drove, despite the fact that the couple had 2 cars. While they did not engage in community block parties, they did participate in neighborly activities such as sharing a snowblower with several families. They also had a child together whose name was Dylan Moyer. He was born September 25, 2003, and he was just 7 years old at the time of the incident. Dylan attended Titus Elementary School, and he had just completed 1st grade. He was greatly educated for such a young child, with both his parents involved in his schoolwork. The parents always asked a lot of good questions. Linda Costello, Dylan's kindergarten teacher, said of parent-teacher meetings. The fathers seemed so grounded. They were parents who wanted their son to be successful in school. You could tell they read at home. On the other hand, a neighbor of the Moyers, Rose Radziul, described Christopher as brief and standoffish whenever she bumped into him. "I think he was very controlling," Radziul said of Chris. Another neighbor called him quirky. Yet Chris was also described by some neighbors as a devoted father who lovingly guided his son Dylan through the early stages of life. He appeared to cherish his 7-year-old, and together with his wife, it would seem that he had nurtured a loving home environment on a serene suburban street in Warrington over the 7 years they lived there. However, their circumstances soon underwent an abrupt transformation. In the late hours of Friday, June 17, 2011, Chris entered the bedroom he shared with his wife and unexpectedly proceeded to fatally assault Elizabeth with a baseball bat while she was in bed, according to law enforcement officials. Subsequently, he entered the second-floor hallway and similarly attacked his son Dylan in his bedroom, District Attorney David Heckler reported. Authorities suspect both victims were asleep and noted no signs of resistance during the incidents. Afterwards, Chris inexplicably moved his wife's body to their bathroom and covered her face up with a towel. During the night, he compiled a list of family members and their contact information for police notification, which he placed on the front door of their residence. The note, typed by Chris, finished with a "thank you." Additionally, police reported that Chris texted a relative to express remorse sometime after the killings of his wife and son. Around 9:40 p.m., Chris called 911 and informed the dispatcher that he had discovered his wife and son fatally beaten, as reported by District Attorney David Heckler. According to police, he maintained a calm and courteous demeanor during the conversation with the dispatcher, exchanged a brief acknowledgement of gratitude, and then finished the call.
911, where's your emergency?
I need to report a murder.
Okay, where is that, sir?
167 Redstone Drive in Warrington.
157?
167.
Okay, can you tell me about what's going on there?
Mother and son bludgeoned to death.
And you just found that?
Yes.
Okay. Who are you?
I'm the husband.
Did you do it?
Yes, I did.
What's your name, sir?
Chris.
Last name?
Moyer.
Moyer?
Correct.
What's your phone number, Chris?
It is 267-927-0245.
You're there now?
Yes.
Okay, 167 Redstone?
Correct.
Okay, are you sure they're dead?
I am positive.
Okay, are you still armed?
No.
Okay, I'll get somebody right out there for you, Chris.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Police from Warrington, Warminster, and Warwick responded quickly to the location, but Chris had already departed. Around 11 p.m., after attempting to establish contact with anyone inside, officers entered through the garage. Clumps of neighbors gathered behind police cars, ambulances, and police tape, watching and wondering. Elizabeth was discovered in the bathroom adjacent to the master bedroom, while Dylan was found in another bedroom with a bloody baseball bat nearby. Their neighbor, Rose Radziul, later noted how she and I, quote, didn't hear anything. There was no screaming or anything. Over 3 hours later, Chris's lifeless body was discovered with $1,300 in his pocket as he lay on the train tracks intersecting Meadowbrook Avenue between Jacksonville and York Roads in Hatboro. His dark Toyota Camry was found parked in close proximity. Authorities speculate that Chris drove to that location, positioned himself on the tracks, and awaited the arrival of a train he was aware would pass. It appears Chris was familiar with the train schedule. Thus, this tragic finale claimed the lives of the family of 3. Hatboro police located his body at 12:56 a.m., corresponding with SEPTA's report of a train striking someone. For those who do not know, SEPTA stands for Southeastern Pennsylvania Transportation Authority. As police conducted their investigation at the crime scene, Elizabeth's parents, along with her brother and sister-in-law, who were all from Northeast Philadelphia, arrived at the residence. They had anticipated the Moyers family arrival to bring Dylan for a weekend visit to the grandparents' home. Concerned when the Moyers did not arrive as planned and were unreachable by phone, Elizabeth's family traveled to Warrington. There, they were informed of the tragic deaths by authorities, as recounted by District Attorney David Heckler. Chris's father, Warren Moyer, said, "We spoke on Friday morning and he was in good spirits." He also commented that his son told him he had just renewed a contract with a computer client. After the search, a Warrington detective pulled Elizabeth's parents, brother, and sister-in-law away from a crowd of neighbors and notified them of the deaths. David Heckler, Bucks County detectives, and Warrington police began preparing a search warrant to investigate the murders. After Moyer's body was found, police began searching the home. Investigators remained at the home collecting evidence until dawn. The Bucks County Coroner's Office performed autopsies on Elizabeth's and Dylan's bodies, determining both deaths were indeed homicides due to blunt force trauma to the head, stated Coroner Joseph Campbell. Montgomery County Coroner Walter Hoffman reported that Chris's death was ruled a suicide following an autopsy the same day. Warrington Police, the Bucks County District Attorney, and family members remain uncertain about the reasons behind these tragic events. According to District Attorney David Heckler, Chris did not provide a motive during his 911 call or in the note left on the front door. Court records indicate no prior criminal charges involving the Moyers and no documented history of domestic violence. According to mental health experts, Chris's actions may have been driven by his intent to end his own life. Experts explained that when individuals planning self-destruction take the lives of their loved ones, it is often because they believe their family members would be better off deceased than facing life without them. In the case of children, parents may perceive that their child would suffer without them, viewing the act of murder as a misguided act of compassion in their state of despair. It is suggested that Chris may have perceived the killings as acts of mercy. Investigators have suggested that financial difficulties may have been the driving force behind the incident. It is certainly important to respect the sensitivity of those involved in stories like this. A neighbor of the Moyers, who chose not to be identified, expressed disbelief, stating, "I just cannot fathom it. He just loved that little boy." Dylan's first-grade teacher, Teresa Yanni, noted the parents' active involvement in his education. Colleagues mentioned Dylan's eloquence and knack for language, and Yanni recalled he had an adult-like vocabulary. During kindergarten, both parents frequently picked him up, as recounted by Linda Costello, his teacher during that year. He would ask me a question, and it would take me off guard, because he used words that were higher than a kindergarten level, Costello said, and he always wanted to know more. Costello recalled that during kindergarten, Dylan showed a preference for non-fiction books, those that dealt with factual subjects, and she specifically remembered assisting him in discovering information about the largest whale in the world. Teresa Yanni noted that whenever there was free time, Dylan could often be found engrossed in reading. He maintained a charming attitude and was a very polite child. His voice subtly echoed his mother's Slavic accent and expressions, and he gestured with his hands while speaking, a trait similar to his mother's mannerisms. "When you finished helping him, I'll never forget how he'd look up at you with those eyes," Costello said. He would always say, "Thank you," and smile that beautiful smile. He had such a beautiful smile. Neighbors characterized Elizabeth as a reserved yet friendly individual who exhibited deep devotion to her role as a parent. Observers who witnessed her interactions with her son recognized her profound affection and commitment to motherhood. But I want to know your opinion on this case. What do you think Chris's motive was? How could this tragic event have been avoided? I'd love to hear from you in the comments section. This is Criminal Activities signing off. Stay safe out there.